It is time to get uplifted. I'm Allison Seymour. Well, we are now just about 1 month away from college decision day. And if you have a high school senior at home, you can probably feel that countdown. Your child may be bursting with excitement, ready to step into a brand new chapter. But what about you? How are you feeling? A little different, maybe? A little scared, a little sad already? Maybe proud, but grateful, and I know a little anxious too. Maybe even a little heartbroken, all at the same time. Watching them spread their wings can also mean learning how to loosen your grip and figure out how you're going to move on without the kids at home. If you're feeling that mix of joy and jitters, you're not alone. As a mom of 3 daughters who all left the nest for college, I can tell you every send-off hits differently. And yes, every one of them was filled with emotion. So that is why we're so happy to have with us empty nest coach Christine Oakfield with us. I am not surprised that there is an empty nest coach job. This is a big deal. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much.
I'm really happy. Also, Christine is joined by fitness coach Nima Ansari with us for this special edition of Get Uplifted. Nima, it's good to see you.
Same here.
It's good to see you. So this is going to be really exciting how we talk about, it's really the mental and the physical working together to get you through this time. We're going to talk about the real symptoms of empty nest syndrome, how to manage the shift in identity and routine, and most importantly, how to stay connected to your child while giving them space to soar. This is a new season for many, and if it's for your family, you can thrive in it too. So let's get right into it. I've got lots of questions for both of you. Like, I started this journey back in 2019, watching my first daughter go off. And you are happy, but I gotta admit you're a little sad too. So what is empty nest syndrome? Is this a real thing? And by the way, this is our empty nest back here. Yes. I want you to see it. That's me on the side asking you the question. Tell us about what empty nest syndrome is.
It is a real transition. Yes. So while it doesn't have a formal diagnosis, it is a real huge transition that lasts for some people 2 minutes, but for most people many, many years. Mm-hmm. And it comes in very non-linearly. Mm-hmm. And you will be feeling great for a week, and then you might see your child's favorite cereal at the store. Go by their room when you get home.
Yes.
Just everything changes along the way, and the most important thing is to know that whatever you're feeling is valid, because what you're feeling might be, like what I felt might be different from what you felt. What your partner feels may be totally different. What your neighbor feels and what the books say. Right. What you're feeling is valid. You've done a great job to get your kid here. Not everyone gets to reach this stage. It's a beautiful time. And this emptiness that we see with the empty nest,
literally, right,
is easy to think of it as a void, but you can also think of it as this beautiful space to fill intentionally with who you are, who your relationships are, and what you're going to do.
So we were showing a graphic, if you will, for those at home with some of the symptoms or some of the things that you go through. I wonder if you can throw that back up for us while we talk about some of the real effects that you feel here, including loss of appetite sometimes. You can't really fall asleep. There we go. Persistent sadness, anxiety regarding your child's safety. That's a huge one. And then your own identity loss.
This is big.
That's a big one.
This is big. And for some people, they've never found an identity. If you think about it, as kids, our parents tell us who we are. Yes. We go to school, they tell us who we are. We go to work, we go, now we're taking care of our kids, so our parenthood is a huge identity, and we've never really had the time to sit and think, okay, who am I? So that emptiness feels way bigger emotionally, because it's a huge unknown.
Right.
So when you begin to embrace that this could be an amazing time, and I get to discover myself for the first time and realize who I am, or lean back into the identity you had beforehand, and there are no wrong answers. Your journey is yours.
So we're looking, Nima, at some social media here. This is the typical empty nest. She's like looking around, she's pitter-pattering around the home. She went into that fridge, and you and I were talking before about this is one of the things. You might find yourself doing that emotional eating, but you're saying the answer here, you said it's movement, nutrition, and recovery. Can you explain this method as far as trying to navigate when the kids leave?
For sure. Today we are celebrating 2 things, 2 journeys. Going back to the moon after 50 years, going back to yourself after your kids leaving home. In both our movement, nutrition, and recovery all shifts. The movement, naturally, we just move less, fewer steps, fewer errands. Nutrition become more from our nutrition from the pattern, family style goes to snacking, and our recovery goes to inconsistent because of a mess up with our sleep pattern mostly.
The funny thing, when you said that is, you know, maybe you're used to cooking for 4,
Yes.
and now all of a sudden you're down to 2 or maybe even 1.
Correct.
So you do everything in life, you have to
Everything changes.
navigate it. Want to get back to this conversation, but I want to now play a quick video showing one of the hardest aspects of empty nest syndrome. Take a look.
It's fun to stay at the
Oh man, Christine, you know, many parents watching can relate to what we saw. Even the music, it feels dramatic, but all of a sudden you look around and hey, where did everybody go? And who am I, right? So for those, we said it's about a month before our kids start to figure out where they're going. What should parents be doing now? You know, even siblings, what should the family dynamic be doing now?
Truly, because one of the things I think that is missed is that the siblings are impacted and even the pets are impacted. So you think whatever your household is, it's going to be impacted. So it's a great time to just start talking about it. I also recommend if you feel sad, while you want to process that emotion on your own, it's not a bad idea to mention to your child that you're sad and you are processing it, because that makes them feel good. I mean, in a weird way.
But does it give like them too much guilt? Is it given too much? I mean, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have them be responsible for your sadness, and that's the clarity. So just mentioning, hey, mom's sad, but I'm handling this and I'm going to be fine. I'm working through that is way different from being, I'm so sad you're leaving. And that's where you tend to put the guilt. I don't think our children should be responsible for our emotional well-being in any
Ever,
really. So,
so
it's a really good opportunity to begin that transition, talk about what things will look like when they come back. And one of the things that isn't always mentioned with college is that the child that comes back from college that first semester,
don't say it. They're so different.
They're different. They're
Okay.
different.
Oh, no, wait.
And we still see our 5-year-old.
Absolutely.
And we want to do everything the same. So just, if you can already get in your head the idea that every time your child comes home, they're this amazing, beautiful human you raised, and you get to know all over again, because now you're transforming your relationship. It's not over, it's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
So Nima, that's why we got to come out, we got to do yoga, we got to learn how to meditate, we have to stay in the moment. What would you tell someone, a mom or a dad or whomever coming to you and saying, you know, I got to reinvent who I am now? What would you tell them?
You are exactly correct. This is exactly we discovering ourselves in this journey, which it means, especially for the woman, it often happens and overlaps with the
with the change.
Exactly, with the change.
The change of life.
The change of life.
Yes,
it could
the
be
big M.
it could be premenopause, menopause, or postmenopause.
Right.
Which it means from the movement side, we are less motivated to do the movement. From the nutrition side, it turns to more emotional shift, which is just late night eating, and for the recovery, again, is mess up with our sleep patterns, which it means less sleep and we just having less recovery, and you know, we cannot sustain even if we just be active and do the proper movement.
So you have nutrition and movement going hand in hand, though,
Correct.
Okay, so is it about completely reinventing or trying to do something different, or just how would you tell somebody to kind of ease into it? Because we're going through a lot right now with the kids leaving, with our own bodies changing. How would you tell somebody to ease into it if they're
That's
watching?
great things to know. The first things about the movement, we need to back to our structures, because we used to have a structure.
Yes.
We just wake up in a certain hours to take the kids to the school and the rest of our day, which we lose that structure. We have to back to our discipline 2 to 3 times the strength training. About our nutrition, we have to back to our protein, whole food, healthy meal preparing.
Right.
Not just go and see whatever is in the fridge, or we have to have a list, proper list to go before the shopping. For recovery, we have 2 types of recovery: active recovery and passive recovery. Passive recovery is like going to sauna, sleeping, walking, and active recovery is like a stretching, yoga, Pilates, and those type of activities which we have to invest on.
Right. Now, the funny thing though is for so long identities have been wrapped up with the kids.
Yeah.
So how would you tell someone to sort of marry the ideas that Nima is talking about and working on yourself? Because especially moms, we're like, oh, we got to do it for the kid. What about doing it for you?
Yeah, and discovering what you want to do for you is important. Really give yourself some time. It's going to be very easy to want to do all of the things at once, and that sometimes works great, and sometimes doing one thing new this week is what you're doing.
Right.
And maybe it's a passive week and you give yourself permission to that, but next week you have a plan. So take your time. Really, honestly, the best thing you can do is give yourself a lot of love and patient with yourself as you adjust. It's a huge transition. It's just as big as when you brought your first child home.
Right.
That's a huge transition, and we weren't really prepared for that either, but we did it, and this is the same thing.
Yes.
Like, we're going to get to the other side. It's going to be amazing. You can do whatever you want.
I have so many questions, but
Yeah.
I want to ask you, and Nima, I'll start with you. When would you recognize this as, maybe this is becoming a problem? Maybe I am just being too sedentary. Maybe I'm putting on excess weight that I don't want to, and I'm not feeling good. It's just adding on to how I'm already feeling. When would you say that this is an issue that you really need to stop and reevaluate and get moving and eat better? Is there a moment when that happens?
Yes, that's completely correct, because this is the best opportunity to rediscover yourself and build your future. Back the time when your kids probably in the college, they are pretty active in their college activity, and if you want to continue the sedentary, you cannot keep up with them and with your grandchildren, which is the best opportunity to create some fitness challenge for yourself, even very easy.
Because you have something to live for.
Exactly. Okay, next time when we see each other, let's do 1 minute planks.
Right.
Well, let's increase it to 90 seconds plank challenge. Very simple. We don't need to just do create things that is not attainable.
Right.
It's very attainable, achievable goals that we can create for ourselves. For the nutrition side, we can just, next time we meet each other, let's prepare a meal that is healthy, protein-based, rather than just go and just order some junk
that's what
food
you want to do.
box
Let's
food.
eat out. You're home for the weekend. Let's eat out. Right.
Absolutely. And for the recovery part, we are living with one of the nicest area in the country.
Right.
Here, for example, in National Cathedral, it was a yoga event which over 500 people just attend.
Yeah.
It's very simple to
At the
buy
National Cathedral.
Absolutely.
A wonderful event.
Absolutely.
Right.
Spiritual, buy that ticket, take your children to go there. You feel again the community, you feel active, and you can rebuild your identity.
Before we move on, my oldest, and she's 25 now, and we did a Zumba class together, and we took these pictures, and I looked at it, and I was like, this is an adult now. Like, she's a 25-year-old person, and we're having this new relationship, and it was around fitness. We had the best time ever. So let me say this, dealing with empty nest syndrome, it can be hard, but it doesn't have to be a solo journey. If you're co-parenting, chances are your partner may be processing many of the same emotions. So when you get home from dropping those kids off at school and then you look at each other like, hey, who are you? How do you even start that conversation with your partner?
Yeah, patience, love. I think knowing that you could have different reactions and different plans for the future is good to just hold that space. Be curious. Lovingly curious is what I would go into any conversation with. You may have set plans up when you were 20, and those may have changed now, and one of you may be still stuck on those, so you need to have conversations. It's a good time for you to separately decide figure out who you are, and then come together and have the space to have the conversation, and also have some tough conversations.
Right.
Because it is a point where divorce does happen, and it's not always a bad thing. So if someone needs the permission, here you go. But
Is that
but
is that true? That's a
there-
real point. I guess
Yeah.
you forget. There's been this, I won't say interruption, that sounds, but you've probably, maybe if you're doing parenting right, that's just me, not sounding judgy, but you probably have put your kids first all
Yes.
these years, and so now.
I mean, I'm guilty.
Yeah, me too. Look, let me
That's
throw
why
my
I
hands
was
up.
here.
Right. Yeah. So, so it's looking at your partner and saying, okay, how do we
Yeah.
work this again?
Yeah, and a lot of couples can, and
Yeah.
they do, but others can't, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Because relationships are beautiful and amazing, and some of them just aren't forever. They're just a part of your life,
Right.
and you've done what you do together.
You know, but it occurs to me, we have done a lot of segments about taking a dance class together, you know, just
Fitness would be
getting
fun
in
together.
shape together or whatever. So I'm sure that you would say that would be a positive way to move forward as a couple.
Yes, absolutely, Alison. As you mentioned, we don't have any comfort zone. You know, we have to always in life have something to look up. You know, wake up with that motivation that it's not that, oh, emptiness, let me just sit on the just a chair and just have my chips. No,
Guilty
get
of that
up,
too.
keep up with your child. Yes, that's the area of opportunity.
Right.
That's a new life for you, new discovery for you. Start this journey. You know, don't be passive. You know, that's all about.
Don't be passive, get active. But you
I
have to
love it.
get real with where you are when that happens. Now, let me ask you this hard question. How do we let go? If there is a parent, you know, and you think you're still parenting a 14-year-old, which can push children away or, you know, adult children away, and I get that.
Yeah.
What's the sweet spot?
So you're creating a new relationship, and this is, I like to think of it as a coach role more than an on-hands role going forward. And also remember that the goal is for them to thrive on their own and have this beautiful life. So if you're still doing things for them that they could do on their own, it's actually a disservice to both of you, because if something happened to you, they might not know how to do it. So
Right.
sometimes it's a good way to come at is that, you know, if I'm not here all the time, do they still know what to do? And if you're doing things at this point that are still in that area, maybe back off a bit.
Right.
And now is your time to just love them, see who they're going to become. It's a really exciting time.
Yes.
And yeah, there's ups and downs. They're going to make mistakes. We all have. And we're
Absolutely.
still here.
Speaking of which, I did a social, you know, everything is social media these days.
Yes,
I did
yeah.
a social media post a while back, and it talked about like my oldest. I thought that Mark and my husband, did everything right, and then she said, you know, you would say to me that you run around outside because you need to get your zoomies out or whatever, and that really hurt my feelings, and I had to sit with that.
Good on you.
And yeah, but it was hard.
I know.
Because I wanted to be like, what do you mean? But she was like, no, Mom, you did. And I realized that hurt her feelings way back then, even though, you know, I consider her a model child, all three of my kids. But sometimes we have to hear those tough things.
Yeah,
Even
it's-
when you think you did the best job.
Yeah, it's great
could
that you
do.
did that.
Right.
Not all parents will do that. A lot of parents get into the stage and they expect it to look the way it did when they were this age,
Right.
but things have changed.
Yes.
Everything's different, and a beautiful relationship grows together with two respectful humans who
Right.
know who they are.
No matter how hard it is to hear it.
Yeah, and if it's stuff, they're doing stuff that you wouldn't do, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just you get to know them now,
Yeah,
you know?
I love that. All right. Well, holidays may also feel a little different once your kids leave home. They may not come home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or even Easter break sometimes. So, Nima, if your child calls and say, I'm not coming home for break, and then all we want to do is eat like the biggest cake we can find, what would you say is a better way to sort of navigate those feelings?
That's great. I love it. You know, kids, they are there to challenge us.
Yes.
There is not a comfort zone. And as you mentioned about the Gen Z and the social media, we have to just be, as she mentioned, be a good coach for them, good role model for them. We cannot just say no to them. We can just trim it a little bit. Say, okay, what is the recipe of this cake? Could you can we make it together? Can we modify it?
Right.
If it has this gram of sugar, can we just decrease it? You know, always find a way to negotiate rather than say, no, this is not the way.
Right.
You don't need to eat. You know,
Because we're aging too
absolutely.
at this point,
Absolutely.
right? And we need to make sure that, and you mentioned it before.
Absolutely.
Stay
Or
healthy.
even we can encourage them, as you mentioned, and
Right.
say, okay, could you please find a recipe that is be proper for me, proper for my health, be my nutrition coach.
Right.
You know, it's very easy for them and motivation. Like, okay, my mom wants to be considering as a nutritional and a specialist. I go and do research for her.
Right,
That's
right.
very easy.
Okay, and emotionally when they say they're not coming home. Or how about when they start to really date and get serious and they're going to their house? I
Yes.
thought I was the cool house. How do you deal with that as a parent?
Yeah, so you know it's not a failure on you. It's they're growing and becoming who they are. So really processing your emotions separately, not on the phone call at them, is
yes.
step one. And then realizing that your traditions can change. They can evolve, and pay attention to things that bring you closer together, which could be a Zoom call. It could be you now have a celebration that's a week earlier, that's all yours, and you get to create together in this beautiful way, and it means more to you because you're not just going through all the motions, you've chosen your best parts of it.
Right.
So allow it to evolve and know that just because you're not physically in the space together does not mean you're not close.
Have you seen with this dynamic, adult kids sort of go find their own way and then come back? Does that typically, I mean, it doesn't, every family
It all
is different.
It all happens, yeah,
Right.
all different ways. And I think the healthiest ones are when the parents, because it does affect dads too, and it sometimes impacts grandparents as well. You know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
empty nest.
Right.
So having the space to be who you are and know that they might go out, they might come
Right.
back, and just if you're providing a loving space for them, and I don't mean even like your home and all the things you have, but just, you know, I'm talking to you and
Right.
all I see is I love you and your future. That's a way different energy to hold for your child than why aren't you doing the things you
Right.
said? Why did you change your major? Why
Right.
did you do this? Why did you always
Not making it
criticize me?
transactional.
Yes.
On both, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so I've seen it go both ways, and I have seen relationships transform too, where
Right.
parents thought they'd never talk to their kid. And
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about
Yeah.
divorcing your parents
Yeah.
these days, so that's a whole nother, I have to have you back for that. All right, and when we come back, we're gonna share some resources and some tips so that you can thrive in your next chapter. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We want to end this episode by helping you make the most out of your next chapter of life. So Nima and Christine have been here. It's been such a joy to talk to you both. Thank you so much for your time today. Nima, let me start with you. What are some of the resources or some things we can take advantage of now that we have all this free time to work out, to eat better? What would you suggest?
For sure, we talk about the rebuilding the future.
Yes.
You know, when your child was in the home, you might not have this opportunity to go to a strength training together because she or he was just a little kid. Now you have this time and go and just hit it. Take the first step, going to the gym. It's gonna change your way, and then eventually you can do it together. About the nutrition part, just go and try to create some new habit together, you know. And then for the recovery, as I told you earlier, just go and invest on active recovery. Just take that ticket to the yoga class, stretching class together. We have a lots in these days around us, and just rebuild this habit for both of you. I promise you're gonna enjoy, as you mentioned earlier about your kids and the Zumba class, Alison.
We had a ball.
Yes,
we really
absolutely.
did. And for this is saying here, activities to quiet the mind, control strength training, yoga or mobility flow, long outdoor walks. Just start it there, right? Reconnecting with nature. But maybe for some of us, and those watching, who maybe have never really invested in physical activity for ourselves. We've been busy doing carpool and this and that, whatever. How would you tell us to start?
That's a great question. You know, in our daily basis life, we have 6 fundamental movements. This is all about the human movements. We always push something, we pull something, we squat, we hinge like a vacuum cleaning, we lunge like a climbing the steps, and we carry. You know, carry is under human gait or locomotion, you know, like a running. If we just practice, you know, if we just notice, many of us, we don't do a squat properly.
Right.
Even when I stand up from the chair, we don't do the hinge properly when we are doing vacuum cleaning. There is a lots of resources, even in pushing, pulling. If you know, if we be more mindful about our movement, and there are lots of resources, definitely this is a huge step. Because me as a fitness coach, I've seen people, you know, you guys just sitting very nice. You know, most of people, they just sit like, you know, they don't have a good posture.
I knew he was watching us.
Exactly.
Eating touches earlier.
Nutrition, exactly. This, be mindful. You don't need to chew very fast to just catch up with the next tasks of your kids. Just be relaxed, be calm, you know, and about your recovery as well.
What about picking up a new hobby, traveling? What about getting out and doing these things? How difficult in your practice have you seen that to really be, though, after raising kids and trying to navigate that? Is that a step you would encourage us to take?
I would definitely try new hobbies. I would try anything and everything because, and I would give yourself permission to not like the things you try. I think is the one thing, because sometimes people will go all in and that's the thing that's going to be their identity, and then they discover it's not really a fit for whatever reason. But if they tried 10 things, there may be 2 that they absolutely love,
and that's okay.
It's totally okay. You learn more about yourself that way.
So in the moment minute that we have together, any resources or from your purview that an empty nester, if they're struggling, what would you suggest them to do?
Yeah, there are great resources out there. I have a podcast. There are other podcasts out there you can
what's your
listen to.
podcast?
It's called Your Empty Nest Coach.
Okay.
The last 30 episodes is really all you need. It's focusing on 30 days to empty nest success.
Really?
Yeah, so it
All
just
right.
takes all of the stuff and bite size. There's books out there. You can sign up for programs that focus on that. And then, you know, sometimes you do sit in the sadness too long. You might need a therapist or something else for that, but there are plenty of resources, books as well.
I love it. Get moving, get this the strength of your mental, get your body moving, feed it the right things, and then just hope you get the phone call that says, I'm coming home for Christmas. You might not get it, so you got to be okay with that too. It's been a pleasure speaking with both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
So
for
lovely.
having us, Alicia.
Thanks for having us.
Oh boy, and thank you for joining us on this edition of Get Uplifted, the Empty Nest Syndrome. If you want more, please watch my Get Uplifted stream right here on WUSA 9+, and you can get your daily dose of Get Uplifted on WUSA 9 mornings. We're gonna make it. Stay uplifted.